So welcome. It's 12:02. I'm a little bit late, or at least 1 minute late. I like to start on time. This is Jerry Stengel, your host and presenter for today's session. And I guess you're wondering why me talking about business planning. So for the last 15 years, I've been writing business plans both for myself and my businesses, meaning Ventuneer and another business that I had, as well as doing it for clients. I have been very active in business planning competitions and I've had a couple of award-winning business plan competitions. So for the Yale Goldman Sachs Business Planning Competition, I was the coach and writer for a rescue mission that was starting a dollar store, and they were a grand prize winner, winning $100,000 for an Urban League business planning competition. My team came in second. I've been a judge for the Social Innovation Fund, and I've actually written a little bit about dotting your I's and crossing your T's when you're participating in business plan competitions. I'm a coach and judge for the Social Impact Exchange business planning competition, which is going on now. So without further ado, I want to get into the start of this conference and or this webinar. I think we have a mix of both for-profits and nonprofits and startups and mature businesses. So I'm going to try and cover all of the different levels and help you get ready to grow your business through planning. So as I said, business planning is a favorite of mine. I think it's because I grew up in market research and competitive analysis, but it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. So for some of you, maybe even most of you, business planning is right up there with fear of public speaking. For me, it's actually exciting. I approach each business plan as an artist would approach a blank canvas. It's creative. It satisfies my need to explore and discover. I'm going to give you some practical tips so it becomes easier and less intimidating for you. I'm going to give you the who, what, when, and why of business planning. So understanding why you do a business plan will help put the process in perspective. My hope is that if you understand the value and the benefits, you'll become enthusiastic about the process. Depending on your purpose, the length of the document of the business plan will actually vary. And I really want to remind you that this is a living, breathing document, one that changes as time goes on. You don't have to change it every day or every week or even every month. But you do need to change it periodically, most typically annually. But if you're on the hunt for money, it's going to change even more frequently. So those of you who were on the call yesterday know that I like to ask questions. So this is one of those times that I'm asking the audience, why undertake writing a business plan? So if you would chat or type your answers in the chat window, why undertake a business plan? And I know we have a small group today, and it may be a shy group, but Monique is typing, so I'll wait for her answer. And Sarah is typing. Achieve focus in business goals and increase chances for success. Oh, Sarah, you said it well. Terrific. So yes, I think that the planning process helps you uncover some risks and figure out contingencies, understand the marketplace better. Developing a plan is important to assist with guiding your organization in a direction that will be beneficial to your overall growth, and I totally agree about that. So it's about developing a framework for decision making, allowing others to understand the whys and the wherefores, and ultimately to make decisions without you being involved. Remember, it's a whole lot cheaper to think things through on paper than in the real world. The plan will also help you figure out how much money and people you need and when you need them. So we've got a poll, and I'm going to move over the poll question and open it up. So are you raising money, and what kind of money are you raising? So are you going to be going to angels, which are accredited wealthy people who can afford to lose money if they invest in you? Will you get a loan? If you're a nonprofit, you're probably going to either donors or foundations. What kind of money are you going to raise? Is it your own money? I'm self-funding Ventioneer. Maybe you're going to friends and family. Credit cards, another business that I did, we used a lot of credit cards. And actually, I still use a little bit of credit cards. So because we have a small group, the numbers are not being well dispersed. So typically credit cards for for-profit would be used. If you're already in existence, you may be using profits and be growing organically. And it's not uncommon for startups, as I said, to be self-funding, to be using credit cards, friends and family. Nonprofits are going to be using or going to foundations, major donors, and maybe even venture philanthropists. So I'm going to close the poll and move on to the next slide. So the length of the plan depends. It's only logical that the plan will need to be longer if you're raising a lot of money and raising it among more sophisticated lenders. If you're doing the plan just for you, the plan doesn't need to be more than 5 to 7 pages, and it can be in an outline format. Friends and family, you know what? I think you should do about 10 pages. I think it's important that they know that you're serious about it and that you're actually going to do legal papers and sign off on things and be very professional. Banks like a document to be about 15 pages, not too long and not too short. Angels, major donors, if you're a nonprofit, foundations, again, if you're a nonprofit, are going to want more in the 15 to 25 page. And venture capitalists and venture philanthropists who are really very, very sophisticated investors are going to want to see probably a longer plan, more detailed, and that's going to be 25 to 40 pages. Time was you did a plan that projected not just 5 years out, but 10 years out. Things are changing because, you know, as all of us know, things change at the speed of light now. And for the most part, people want to see 3 years of projections. That being said, some banks, and I'm going to put some foundations in this, may want to see 5 years worth of projections. And if you're asking somebody for money and they want, you know, a longer time frame on projections, guess what? You're going to have to give it to them. So it really does vary by your need. For those of you who have a team involved, it really helps when everyone knows who is responsible for doing what and when it's due. This isn't the end-all or be-all of project management charts, but it gives you a structure so you can fine-tune it for your own needs. So, it's your team. You're going to not need the title up there. You might not have last names, but you do want to have that first name, the responsibility, what's the task, timing, and in the column of comments, it might be, a status update, maybe some problems that somebody is running into, so that everybody is in the loop. So I'm going to pause now and see if you have any questions. Those of you who have taken sessions with me before know that I like to pause periodically and allow you to ask questions. I want to remind everybody that I'll be sending a link to the recording in probably about 48 hours and a copy of the slides. And we have a quiet group today, so I'm going to move on, but feel free to ask questions at any point, and I'll get to answer them at the next break. Believe it or not, you're not pulling things out of the air, though some of my students at the new school thought that this technique would fly. You don't need to be a business planner to know when things are made up. Your potential investors and partners will know too. You need to use credible and reliable sources of information. So again, I want you to chat in why research the feasibility of your business plan, of your business rather. It's similar and a little bit different than the overall plan. So I see Monique is typing in. Thank you. Again, with a small group, I appreciate everybody actively participating. So while Monique is typing, I just want to talk through a little bit about understanding your business model. You may be adding a new product line or just starting out. You need to make sure that you're actually going to be making money. I've had students whine at me saying it's just not fair. Why won't customers pay what I want them to pay? Sometimes they're not going to see the value in the product line. You know what? Sometimes life isn't fair. You need to be able to define who your customers are so well that anybody who hears a description of them, they'd actually be able to know who they are if they see them on the street. So Monique says researching the feasibility will assist you with determining if there is a need for your business, absolutely, and give you a better feel for determining your success rate, absolutely. So you can actually find numbers that will help you project your sales rates, and I'll talk a little bit about that as I talk about the kinds of things you're looking for and the sources of information. So the research will actually be able to help predict your success rate. If you tell a potential investor or a partner that you have no competition, you're really asking to be laughed out of the room. You just don't understand your market. If you think you have no competition, get real. And that's even in the nonprofit world. There isn't a category that doesn't have multiple players. You may play nicely and collaborate together, but they're still, in the grand scheme of things, competing for donors' money and even for services. Get feedback from your potential market on the concept, pricing, and positioning. And I'll talk about some ways of doing that in a couple of minutes. So where do you look for information? And again, I'll ask for some thoughts on this. you're all going to be starting businesses or you're in business. What are your sources for information? So sometimes it's about just letting your fingers do the walking, as the old Yellow Page ad would say. And certainly the Internet, thank you, Sarah, the Internet, you were going where I was going, is going to provide lots of information. And sometimes you're going to do an asset-based map and conduct environmental scans of your market. So absolutely, that's very typical in a nonprofit arena, that you would actually be getting a group together, and they might be all of your different stakeholders, and brainstorming about all of the different assets you have access to. And of course, you would be doing that environmental scan. So there's lots of keyword searching. Trade associations and publications are among my favorite, and sometimes they charge for that information, but you can usually get access to that if you go into their press center or their press room and get their press releases. So they'll give a little bit of free information, and that's usually enough to get you going with the numbers that you need. Government agencies, the Census Bureau is a deep, rich source of information about people and businesses, geography. Corporate annual reports are terrific. If you invest and you have you invest with a full-service company like Merrill Lynch, they may be happy to provide you with their investment sources. Private research firms, such as if you're in the technology world, IDC, Forrester, Jupiter, provide a lot of research. And again, you don't have to pay for that research. You simply can go into their press release section, and they're going to highlight their research results, and that's usually going to be enough for you. Online computer databases, I actually worked for the forerunner of Factiva when I was at Dow Jones. They're fabulous. You can keyword search thousands of publications, newspapers, business magazines, but they can be pretty expensive. So in some cities, you can go to your local library. Not all of the libraries will have access to it. I know that the 34th Street Library in Manhattan does, both to Nexus and Factiva, and you can use those services for free. I've also relied on the goodwill of friends, and sometimes they've done those kinds of searches for me. Shop the competition, and that's really one of the best ways of finding out about the competition. When I mentioned the rescue mission, which started a dollar store, and the social enterprise director went to every single dollar store. She chatted to everybody, and yes, she's warm and friendly, but you'd be shocked how much information she gleaned, from store hours to employee issues, just about anything she wanted to know, she got answers to. Conducting your own research, and I'll go into that a little bit more, but I was very creative when I did a coffee shop for a homeless organization. So as I mentioned, I do a lot of work for nonprofits starting for-profit organizations. And we actually we paid the people that we were servicing, the homeless people, we gave them a stipend to go out there and do street intercepts to find out whether the neighborhood folks would pay a little bit more for coffee. And the answer was yes. So even in a low-income area, people would pay not Starbucks prices, but more for a good tasting cup of coffee. So what are you going to look for? And I think, oh, great, Sarah has mentioned Simmons data. So she's taking me back to to my media and marketing research days. So there are services like Simmons and MRI, Media Research Inc., that provide a lot of research data to magazines and publications and television networks, and you can glean an awful lot of information from those services. So you're looking for market size, number of purchases, dollars spent, competitor share of market. You're not going to find everything, but you're going to, as you're looking, you're just going to pull what you can find and know that you have it. And as you begin writing, you're going to use the information that you do have. And your audience, meaning the bankers, the foundations, know that you aren't going to have access to absolutely every bit of information. You want to talk about the characteristics of the market, the growth rate, the sensitivity to economic cycles. Nonprofits are still in a recession because many of them are funded by state and local government organizations. And government has not finished shedding all of its jobs and contracting, on its spending. So corporations have now come out of the recession, and small businesses, they came out of the recession last year. Small businesses will probably come out this year, and it's going to be another solid year for nonprofits before they come out of the recession. You want to talk about seasonal cycles. So, in cold weather, homeless rates are up. Holiday seasons are where most of the shopping for retailers is going to come from. By analyzing market segments, you may discover an underserved niche. As I mentioned, the homeless organization that I work with and now on the board was looking to open up coffee shops in low-income neighborhoods, because with all of the Starbucks that you see in many neighborhoods, you don't see them in low-income neighborhoods. You don't see Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's even. So it ended up being that this was a great idea because multicultural neighborhoods love coffee. And there was an aha, moment, where they got it, people will spend money, even, low income. Is your industry mature, new, expanding, stable, declining? Even declining markets have opportunities. I think all of the new or dramatically changed industries that have resulted just from the birth of the web. We now get our movies delivered by mail. Netflix, well, actually, there's been so many changes. First there were small independent retail stores that were replaced by Blockbuster. Now Netflix has kicked Blockbuster off the pedestal, and it's king of the hill, so to speak. Google and Yahoo, without the internet, what kind of service would they be doing? Stock photography has been deeply impacted by, the fact that you've got Flickr and other less expensive photography out there. eBay is a whole new way of shopping. Telephone, we've seen, or at least in my lifetime, I've seen many, many changes with telephone service. From, what's the word that I want to say? The breakup of AT&T into smaller regional companies and the startup of discount services like Sprint and MCI, to internet services like Vonage and Skype. We've seen a huge change and shift in telephone services. There's sociological changes. So there's something called LOHAS, which is Lifestyles of Health and Sustainability. Who's targeting this group? Whole Food, Trader Joe's, Patagonia, Cliff Bar, Method, Seventh Generation, Stonyfield Farm. There's regulatory changes. I mentioned, about AT&T, but also the stock market industry. Many was affected by regulation. Many brokerage firms use this. In 1975, the SEC mandated negotiated commission rates for all security transactions. Most brokerage firms use this as an opportunity to raise prices. Chuck Schwab used it to drop his prices. He was able to do this by appealing to people who didn't need the value-added services like advice and research, which a full service brokerage firm provides. Discount services were born. I already mentioned the Ma Bell situation. Political, think about the changes in and around fair trade, which helps producers in developing countries get higher prices by using sustainable farming methods. There's lots and lots of, and also paying a living wage. It turned out that commodity products into products that people are willing to pay more for. And this goes from coffee to cocoa to sugar to tea to even milk. Milk here in the United States, that's the premise of Stonyfield. Everything from flowers to cotton to fresh fruit is now sold under fair trade. Economic, I just detailed the differences, or I sort of went into the Great Recession that we're still coming out of and the impact on all of us. What about assumptions? You can actually find lots of information from sales per square foot, revenue per employee. You'd be amazed what kind of information when you talk to vendors, or go to trade shows, read corporate annual reports. It wasn't just that Darlene, the social enterprise director, could sweet talk a rattlesnake, that she got all sorts of information. It was also that at least $1 store chain is a public company, and we were able to find out oodles and oodles of information by looking at their annual report. You also need to understand the barriers to entering your chosen industry, and also, if you're already in the industry, how barriers are changing. I do a lot of work, believe it or not only with nonprofits, but with diamond manufacturers. And there's lots and lots of barriers to entry. Obviously, you need inventory, which costs oodles amount of money. If you're going to be cutting stone, you need, really high-powered technology. And there are other industries like biotech, where substantial expertise and licensing is going to be required. So you want to compare yourself to the competition. And again, I'm going to turn to the audience, to the attendees, and ask, what do you think you should be comparing yourself to when you compare yourself to the competition? Okay, so it looks like nobody. Up, Sarah is typing. Thank you for saving the day. So some of it is about the criteria and quality that you're comparing yourself. It's how you're going to ultimately differentiate yourself. So I go into a fair amount of detail here. I'll choose 3 to 5 competitors to compare myself and actually make a chart. But the kind of information is going to vary by your organization. It could be the length of time that you're around. In many industries, that doesn't matter. Quality probably is the number one. But actually, you could be the low-cost provider. So quality may not be what you're providing. It could be exclusivity or pricing. The list goes on and on. Each product line is going to have different features and characteristics. So you can brainstorm this with your team. So again, I'm going to pause, let you ask some questions. And again, it's a small group, so if we don't have questions at this point, I'll move on. And if you have any questions, just ask them whenever they come up. There's some flexibility in a business plan, but it's honestly pretty formulaic. So obviously, you're going to have an executive summary, which is written last. It's short, and I'll go into more detail about this in a few moments. I just want to give you sort of the grand layout of a business plan. I'll sometimes combine the company summary and description of the business, depending upon how long or short the business plan is. I move contributions and milestones. Sometimes I put it in the business description. Sometimes I'll put it in operations. And at times I've put it in marketing, depending upon the type of company. But a lot of people neglect this particular section, and I think it's a critical one because it's really mapping out how much money you need, what you're spending it on, and when you're going to actually need you to build out the store location. How long is it going to take for you to customize your customer relationship management software? What's the market opportunity? I like to put my competition in this section. Other people like to put competition in other sections. The market opportunity in the nonprofit world may be called the environmental scan. It could be called industry analysis. It's got lots of different names. Marketing strategy, that's your marketing plan. It's your tactics for getting the word out about yourself. Operations, which is sort of a procedural, a high-level procedural manual. You don't have to do more than 1 to 3 pages, but it is very much like it's the logistics plan for your business. Your staff and management. Who do you need? What is their experience? What will their job responsibilities be? Of course, the financial information. And some people include risk factors and contingency plans in their business plans. I don't always. It really depends. It's not critical. But that being said, if you're in a business plan competition, you're going to, more than likely, you're going to have to address this because it's going to be one of the required sections. And when you are doing business plan competitions, they're usually going to tell you a set format, and you're going to have to do it in that format, whether you like it or not. So yes, I bend to other people's wills when I'm in a business plan competition situation. So your company description, your business plan description, you're going to be talking about, whether you're an S Corp or an LLC, whether you're a nonprofit. Some nonprofits benefits of choosing other business forms like an L3C, which is a low-profit, high social impact corporation. There's also something called a B corporation that's recognized in a handful of states. In other states, it's more like a certificate process. I'll provide a little bit more information in a few moments about mission and vision statement. You're going to address, obviously, your legal issues. And I just put up the mission and vision. You're going to talk about your business model. How are you making money? So when I started Ventuneer, it was really that I was going to be charging for my courses, which I still will be doing, but now I'm looking more for sponsors because I think that's more likely the way that I'm going to be making money on Ventuneer. What are the development stage that you're in? Are you a startup company? Are you a mature business? Are you in growth mode? Your investors are going to want to know that. And of course, your financial status. Where is your money coming from? How much money have you injected into the business? And what has it been spent on up to date, up to that point? And as I said, sometimes I move this contributions and milestones around. So vision and mission keeps you from going in too many directions, which of course happens when you're starting up in particular. But if your industry is going through a transition, business planning is one of those ways of getting you all on the same track. So I'm on the board of a homeless organization, and while we're not in the process of doing a business plan, we are in the process of doing a new funding plan because funding is really going through dramatic changes because of the way that New York City is going to be paying for its services. So what's the big concept? Where do you want to go? What does ultimate success look like? It's about it's your vision that propels you forward. It stretches you, challenges you. It's the final destination. It's squishy and subjective. It's a rallying cry, and it energizes, helps you create a mental picture of the target. It's your sort of like go team go. It also has to be pithy and memorable. Albert Einstein said, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Knowledge allows you to see things as they are. Imagination allows you to see things as they could be. This is about what could be. And I've got a bunch of vision statements up here. I'm going to concentrate really just on one, just so that you can get the full idea of how a vision statement can really work. Back in the 80s, when Bill Gates was courting Steve Ballmer to become his number 2, he needed Steve to grasp what Microsoft could be. Bill came up with a vision that directed Microsoft for years and years to come and won Steve Ballmer over. The vision, the personal computer on every desktop running Microsoft software. The rest, as they say, is history. Your mission is your purpose, why you exist, your reason for being, your products and services, what you do. It's, the various parts of the business. It drives behavior. It's your framework. People will be using this to guide their decision making. And again, I wanted to give you some examples of vision statements. I don't want to test your vision, so I'm just going to focus in on Yvonne Chopinard's vision statement for Patagonia. This provides strong marching orders to his entire team. Build the best products. Cause no unnecessary harm. Use business to inspire and implement solutions to environmental crises. He moved from making steel pythons that damaged rocks to aluminum chocks that could be easily pulled out without harming mountains. When he started manufacturing clothing, he moved from cotton to organic cotton because of cotton being one of the most polluting farm crops. So how do you develop a mission plan? You know, a vision and mission. I'd schedule at least a 2-hour meeting with your team, if not a half a day. Choose who you want to work with on this. If you don't have a team, ask your smart friends and family. Think about how big you want to be. You know, what will your revenue be down the road? How many employees? And when I say down the road, you know, 20, 25 years from now. How, you know, big will you be? Will you grow, you know, in 5 years or 25 years? Will that growth be achieved? You don't have to use numbers. You can use subjective terms like you want to be huge or you want to organically grow from profits. Describe your products and services, how you will deliver them. For lack of a better way of saying this, you want to eulogize your business. You know, how will people remember you? Doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, and comparing yourself to the competition is really, really going to help here. What kind of legacy do you want to be remembered for? You need to show that you understand the market by defining it and evaluating it. You know, technology, what methods and product distributions are you going to use? What are the sociological changes? You know, is it due to demographics like baby boomers retiring? You know, the nonprofit sector is going to go through a huge change because so many leaders are going to be retiring. Have you know, the successors been trained, and you may need to address that in your business plan. Is the market growing or shrinking? Are customers changing the way they do things? Understand why customers will buy products. Is it that you're better, cheaper, faster? Those are all things that also can be applied in the nonprofit world. It may not be about profit, but it is about how much social impact you provide. Are you doing it more cost efficiently? More and more funders are getting concerned about that. We've already gone into, in great detail, the competition. I just want to make a couple more points. Whoops, I'm clicking on the tab by mistake. You need to know when and if there's a new competitor lurking in the shadows, or if a competitor will lower price or become more aggressive about marketing. It is critical that you determine how you are different and better than your competitors. It's about differentiation. I think it was Sarah who mentioned that, and competitive advantage. So clearly, really looking at and understanding your competition is critical. Your target market must be large enough to sustain the business, reachable through media or sales channels, and definable in terms of specific characteristics. You'll also need to understand the market's hot buttons and how that translates into messaging for your product. And yes, this applies to nonprofits. You start this by sizing your market, determining the personal demographics, the gender, age, income, business demographics, industry, company size, employees, revenue. Is your market local, national, worldwide? What are the the business, what life or business styles do they have? This includes social relationships, consumption, entertainment. How do they dress? I want you to be able to, in subjective words, describe somebody really, really well so that if I saw them on the street, I would know who they are. Talk about their self-image, their values. Are they early adopters? Are they fiscally prudent or socially responsible? Positioning is the process by which marketers try to create an image or identity in the minds of the target market. It draws a line in the sand that tells people, what you are and what you're not. Good examples of positioning statements identify the target customer, their problems, values, the value proposition, and key competitors. Pricing, it's not just a numerical formula. It reflects positioning. If you're a luxury product, you price one way. If you're a commodity product, you price another way. What marketing tools are you going to use? What strategic alliances are you going to have? This is not a manual, but highlighting one or just a few pages, your overall business process, and it's going to vary by whether you're in manufacturing, retail, service. Most nonprofits are probably going to be in the service side. Your capacity and quality control, your facility, how you, are you leasing? Do you own? Do you need to renovate? How specialized your equipment is and how you will maintain it. What management information systems will you use for inventory control, order fulfillment, customer database, and even finances and accounting. Other issues include insurance, regulation, health, and safety. If you're looking for investors, the team is actually more important than even the idea. You can have a B idea with an A team, but you cannot have an A idea with a B team. For larger organizations, you may have a CEO, president, or a COO. You're going to have maybe a CFO, head of technology, head of sales, marketing. You highlight the most important people, 2 or 3 sentences, covering their entire career, the value they bring to the organization, and what they will be doing for the business. I like to include an organizational chart. If you've been in existence for a while, you're going to have it'll be a current organizational chart. If you're just starting, it'll be, I do an organizational chart that's 18 months out. And I forgot to click on the buttons. And you do want to highlight your board of directors, your advisory board, and if your key consultants are well known in the industry, you would also highlight them. So frequently when I'm writing business plans for other people, I'm actually not mentioned in the business plan because I may or may not have the appropriate industry experience. So this is a hot button now. Lots of large companies are getting into social responsibility. And I'm also going to tell you a truth that some nonprofits don't have social responsibility. They may not be paying a living wage to their employees or providing good benefits. But more and more people are beginning to care about this, and maybe your money sources are going to care that your supply chain is clean and green, that you are paying a living wage, that you train your employees. that you give back to the community. So if you're getting money from Investor Circle, they're going to care about all of that. Investor Circle is an angel group that cares about social responsibility. And of course, values. You want to be ethical. Whoa, I know. You may be saying, I haven't even opened my doors, and you're asking me about exit. You do want to think it through. Some of your investors may be asking this. This won't be relevant for the nonprofit, but it will be for the for-profit organizations. Investors want to know how they're getting their money back. Your growth strategy, to a degree, is guided by your exit strategy. Are you going public? If you're going public, you have to have exponential growth. Gary Erickson of Cliff Bar actually chose to stop a merger with, I forget which big company he was merging with, whether it was Quaker Oats, but they were going to move the company and lots of employees were going to lose their jobs. And at the nth hour, he chose not to, sell a portion of his company to a large corporation. Many of the large corporations are now realizing that for socially responsible companies, you can't do that, and they're beginning to honor more of those social responsibility qualities. So honesty is, I think they're got a cash infusion from Coca-Cola, and large companies are becoming much more respectful and mindful of the values of socially responsible smaller companies. I tell my new school students that even if they use an accountant or have a CFO, you gotta understand the numbers. I think this is so important that I recommend that everyone take a course in financials. Investors will expect you to speak knowledgeably about your P&L, and that's both in the for-profit world and the nonprofit. You don't need to know the minutia, but you do need to know every major revenue stream broken out separately. And for the nonprofit, it's going to be, your funding sources. You're going to need to know your gross margins, your general and administrative costs, which in the nonprofit world is your overhead. How much profit or loss, or again in the nonprofit world that may be surplus and loss. When will you break even? More importantly, you need to understand cash flow. And whether, you could be highly profitable, but because your customers pay you late, you may have a cash flow crisis on your hands. You have to base your numbers on realistic assumptions, and again, that goes back to doing your research. Because if you have an investor on the hook, they're going to ask you questions about how you develop those assumptions. You're going to have to summarize how much money you need, when you need it, and what you're going to spend it on. What kind of money you're looking for. Is it debt or equity? This is going to affect the for-profits and not the nonprofits. Although there are some things with an L3C and program-related investments that you might be covering here as well. Businesses fail for many reasons, but the more you can think through and reduce the risk, the better you will be. According to Michael Ames, who wrote Small Business Management, the biggest reason is lack of experience. Even if you aren't looking out for outside money, please be realistic about what you know and don't know, and fortify yourself. The number 2 reason is running out of money. The truth is, you're more likely to know if you need money if you have experience. These are the kinds of extra things that you might put in your appendix, and since we're coming close to the end, I'm just going to skip through them. The executive summary, as I mentioned, you write last. The big point I want to make here is you want to get people on the hook. That first paragraph is critical, and the way that you do this is really by talking about the problem you're solving or that must-have need. You want to also portray your solid management experience. I'm going to skip this question and move on to success factors. I'll cover all your questions at the end. Here's what people will be evaluating about your plan, which includes, whether it's business partners or investors. So the kinds of questions that they're going to be asking. Angels and venture capitalists want to give you money if you aren't solving a significant problem. For-profit folks, you got to make money. Nonprofits, you got to solve you've got to make a social impact. More and more funders are going to actually ask you to document that you're doing this. If you don't have the expertise, you can hire it or learn it yourself, but you got to get it. Investors aren't looking for gimmicks. They don't like pet rocks. They want to make sure you have future products in the pipeline. We've talked about many of the questions, so I won't repeat those that I have. I'm going to focus on, whoops, not clicking through. Okay, I guess the slide isn't quite what I thought it was. Let me go back. I used to have it fade. So a few questions that I think that are critical here is having chemistry with those that are funding you. They want to see your passion and motivation. They want to fund people who are ethical and will have good control over their finances. Dotting your I's and crossing your T's. The devil is in the detail. Pretty self-explanatory. And again, I'm going to skip through this. Something extra for you, for those of you, that are concerned about confidentiality. Most investors don't sign them. You may get a partner to sign it, but you won't get an investor to sign it. I'm going to give you some ideas for naming businesses for those of you who are a startup, but I'll let you read that at your leisure. This is a personal journey. There's no right or wrong answers here. Whether you're a nonprofit or for-profit, you have to figure it out for yourself. You really have to gain the critical insight to be able to just make decisions for yourself. You certainly are going to network and have peers and professionals that are guiding you, but the ultimate decision is going to rest on your shoulders. So take classes, join industry groups, network, read books, and find a mentor. Or, a coach, an advisor. I'm going to be set your own direction, and I'm going to be sending this list to you, so I'm not going to go through it, but there's a free ebook that's available, and I'm going to open up for questions. Oh, Sarah, great question. So Sarah's asking me what differentiates Ventioneer. So Ventioneer provides online information or online education and peer support. We haven't gotten into the peer support, but we will be. And we do it for social impact organizations. And I define that as socially responsible small businesses, nonprofits, and social enterprises. We provide information or education when it's needed, where it's needed, and at an affordable price. So when you don't have the professional support and the mentors, and even when you do have it in a social impact world,